Hi, it's Claire here from Cotswold Chickens. We're just talking today about chickens and molting. We've got some late molters. It's been really weird this year. We had some early molters in September and they normally molt around sort of October time. And now we've just had another one who's coming to molt and it's December, would you believe? Now, why do chickens molt? It's a sort of throwback to when they lived in the jungle. Chickens living in the jungle breed seasonally, so they come to the end of the breeding season, shed all their feathers, grow through new feathers, so they're looking beautiful for next spring, can attract those mates and get mating and make little eggs and chicks and things like that. Also, the daylight hours, as soon as the daylight hours start to change, it starts to get a bit darker, get a bit colder, then they feed less and also they start to molt as well. That's what happens in this country. It seems silly they're molting when it comes into the winter, but that's just the way it happens. Now, we were waiting for a hen to molt because it's a late molt this year, just so we could show you exactly what they look like. I know. Come on. Right, this is Lizzie. Lizzie was bought from the Cotswold Chickens yard. She's looking a bit grubby, isn't she? She is, and she's losing feathers everywhere. She is a blue angel, so she's an Araucana white leghorn cross. So she's got the white leghorn in her, but she's got the Araucana, which is the bit that helps her to lay blue eggs. Now, she was a new hatch this year and she was hatched just before the longest day of the year, which means that she's likely to molt and perhaps stop laying this winter. Not dead cert, but likely to. That's the sort of like the watershed is the longest day. If they're hatched before the longest day, they may molt and stop laying eggs that winter. If they're hatched afterwards, then they're probably not going to. Now, she has just started to molt. She doesn't like me holding her, so I'm doing it very carefully. Well, about a week ago I noticed that there were less eggs and came down one cold morning, and there was a chicken run full of white feathers and her standing there looking very forlorn and very miserable, and she's covered in all these quills. You can see them there. They're the new feathers growing through. She's got some bald areas, but those are the new feathers growing through. Do you see on my coat I've got little flecks? That is the quill, the dander it's called, the quill as it breaks away from the emerging feather. You'll find that a lot in the bottom of your housing when they're molting. You'll find loads of these quills, sometimes like little tubes and sometimes just like dandruffy dust like that. Don't worry about it, it's totally normal. That's when they're just molting and it comes off the casing of the feather. These quill feathers come through like a little porcupine quill. She looks like a hedgehog at the moment. And then the feather blossoms out of it like a sort of fern leaf coming out of that quill. And they're also very delicate, so when you touch her it does hurt, so you have to be careful not to handle them too much. So this is the only time I'm going to be handling her is just to show her to you so you can see what she looks like. Now, I tend to baby them a little bit when they're molting. They get a lot of liquid tonic in the water, and one thing that I always add to their feed when they're molting, so from September onwards, is something called biotin. Now, biotin is an amino acid. It's a precursor to protein, the protein that they specifically need to grow feathers. So that's the biotin. It's a green sort of powder. It's freeze dried. It's not pure biotin. It has biotin in it, but it has things in it like alfalfa and linseed. So plenty of protein, also some natural oils to help with the coat growth in horses, but also feathers in chickens. It looks like this. It's a very fine dust. I add about a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons of this to 2 litres of pellets. That's one trick when you're mixing it with your pellets, because it does automatically, because it's dusty, it falls to the bottom of the feeder and then they won't eat it, is just to mix, when you mix it with your pellets, just drizzle a little bit of oil. Cod liver oil is fantastic for the chickens, just like it is for us. Drizzle a little bit of oil over the pellets, not loads, they don't need to be soaking wet, just mix it round with your mixer in the pellets, just so they're slightly coated, and then you'll find that the powder will stick to the pellets and they eat it all down. Okay, so we're back again with Lizzie, the molting chicken. She's 2 weeks down the line now. She's had biotin in her feed and she's feathered up really quickly. She's still got some new baby feathers coming through, some little quills there, but do you see, you know, that was totally bald when we saw it 2 weeks ago, and there's some feathers coming through there. She's looking a lot redder, so she's coming out of the molt, and do you see that her comb is starting to redden up a little bit now. Unfortunately, she didn't molt some clean feathers on this crest, which may still happen, I don't know, so she's still a bit muddy looking, but generally speaking a lot fitter and healthier, and a lovely new coat of feathers coming through, new plumage coming through, looking really tidy there. So it happens really quickly. You can turn them around really quickly in a molt just by giving them the right sort of nutrients and looking after them. A little bit of care is all they need.